Welcome, fellow seekers, to the Seekers of the Eternal podcast, episode 44, Strengthened, Not Crushed. My partner JD and myself, Palehorse, are back to inject your day with a healthy dose of positive energy to help you achieve your highest potential and follow your Dharma as the hero in your life story. We share our personal stories of tests, trials, inner enemies, and the resistance that often shows up like a dragon when we heed the call to better ourselves, to take creative risks, and to follow our dreams. This resistance is inevitable and a crucial aspect of the journey of the hero. Knowing this, we can be prepared for whatever comes. As Yogananda tells us, challenges are not meant to crush us, but to strengthen our powers. So be not afraid, friends. You are the hero in your life story, and the hero always wins through perseverance, love, and devotion. This podcast is supported by our growing community of seekers on Patreon. For a small monthly donation, you will become a member of our magical club with exclusive podcast episodes, community chat rooms, behind-the-scenes process and material videos as the Hanuman Oracle deck artwork is created, live Zoom gatherings and audio-video recordings of guided meditations and visualizations. You'll also receive 15% off on all prints, apparel, and accessories in the Palehorse online store whenever you shop. And I also currently have a pre-order special on a new gold foil screen print of the Tibetan deity Mahakala, as well as super comfy long sleeve t-shirts to bring the blessings of this great and fierce protector with you wherever you go. See the links below in the description, and I look forward to connecting with you more deeply on Patreon after you listen to this episode. Please remember to like and share this podcast to help us grow and continue our mission of bringing more play, more joy, and magic into everyday life. We hope you enjoy this episode, and may it inspire you to push forward with courage through the waves of life, inspiring discipline, which illuminates the beacon of inner calmness and sweetness as your personal lighthouse when the storms come and the rocks threaten to sink your ship. When we follow the light of love and bliss relentlessly, we can overcome the dragons of resistance. As Joseph Campbell tells us, the powers that watch at the boundary are dangerous. To deal with them is risky. Yet for anyone with competence and courage, the danger fades. Joy to you, friends.
Fear not, fellow seekers. Peace awaits you in the unknown.
Welcome back to Seekers of the Eternal podcast. We are your hosts. My brother, it has been too long. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's been a little while. Nice to be back. I'm really, really happy that we're able to connect here. I was out with COVID for a little bit, so it was an interesting time. Really wasn't that bad. I enjoyed the isolation time to really just kind of have my own cave to, and you can't be around anyone else for a little while, just being in your own vibration for a while, not having to come back down out of the clouds to associate with humans is actually a really nice thing for me. But we'll dive into kind of what we've been up to a little bit. Maybe we'll just open here with breath work to relax and release the tension, and then we'll open with a prayer, and then we'll dive in together. Welcome, everyone. Nice to be with you again. So let's just take in a normal deep inhalation, breathing in and all the way out. And now double inhale and tense. Inhale, tensing all the muscles in the low, medium, high, vibrate with willingness, and exhale. Relax, release, feel. Again, inhale and tense. Low, medium, high, vibrate with tension, and exhale. Relax, release, let go of all the tension. Last round, inhale and tense. Low, medium, high, just a bit higher, and vibrate and exhale. And just breathe out all of that tension, all of the cares and worries, any fears, any anxieties. And let's just tune in together, the worry fast here, and opening prayer to invite Spirit to be with us. O Infinite One, make us channels for thy love. Through us, reach out to sow seeds of love in barren hearts everywhere. Om, peace. Amen.
I just love how you went through COVID and the way that you were able to experience it seemed, like you saw it as that is a challenge for a lot of people, of course, but you saw it as an opportunity for growth and healing and turning inward. I think that's pretty beautiful. I don't think that that's a choice of many people who go through, those type of experiences.
It was really interesting this time. I was fortunate where my symptoms weren't too bad. I was really like I was pretty tired, so I was doing a lot more sleeping than normal. But really what it was, and since I've been doing this hero's journey framework, I've been looking at my life in the hero's journey framework, and doing that, it makes me look for, okay, what's the silver lining here? And right as I'm about to, in our last podcast, I was talking about how I had this great vision of this new project that I really want to get started on, and I'm all raging to go on it. And every time I really start to go for it, I get hit with something like, I don't know
Mm,
if I mentioned the last podcast. It was like my plumbing exploded, and I had to dry out the floors, and then I was trying another time, and like literally like pictures were falling off the wall and crashing, and now it's like ready to start again, and then I just start feeling tired and like get a COVID positive, and it's just like it hits me, and then I'm like, you don't want it to happen,
yeah.
and but taking a moment is like, all right, everything in life is coming for us, not to crush us, not to take us out. I read this passage from Yogananda on Tuesday in the bliss break that we do Tuesday nights on
Mm,
Instagram Live. He says, "It says, why is life so full of challenges?" He says, "It's through life's challenges that you learn life's lessons. Challenges are not meant to crush you, but to help you develop your powers." I love that part. They come to you through natural law. They come to you through the natural law of progress so that you might advance to higher levels of spiritual attainment. And man, so it comes like challenges come to help you develop your
mm,
powers. So actually, whenever we're hit with a challenge, it's like, can we be grateful in the moment for it and say, oh, it's just developing my powers? You're hit with something you don't like, you don't want to happen, and just, okay, this is good for me. Where is the silver lining?
yeah.
And to really begin to see it like that. And so more and more, I just want to live life in that way. And so, yeah, sickness I think, is a perfect time because there's nothing you can do. You get hit with it. You have to isolate. You have to just accept it. You have to
Yeah.
just go through the period. So for me, it actually became a time for me where I just got to stay in my own vibration. It kind of felt like I've done yeah, like yoga retreats, meditation retreats before, and taken vows of silence where you're going for periods of time without talking. And so I would have all day, canceling different meetings and things that I had to do, and just being by myself all day, meditating whenever I wanted to, looking at old books and things that I hadn't looked at before, and just taking this time without as much pressure. And
Mm,
it actually became the perfect thing for my creative process in this moment. I remembered how to play again. Like so often my creative career turned into one of more of duty, creating things for purpose, seeing it as work and staying on schedules and all of this, where I had now this period of time where nobody was really expecting anything out of me. So I got to just go back and just sort of play again, and to realize that I was missing that in my life. And so I think that's really what I learned from it.
It's awesome. I think when you mentioned so many things that get thrown your way to derail you from, where it is you're trying to go, especially when it's like that moment where you're making a transition from this plane to the next, or this space to the next space. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that. Sometimes it's like in your relationship, or it could be like when you're working out or you're trying to eat healthy. You're trying to develop these new habits. A lot of the time when I start working out, I always end up getting sick. Like I'll catch a cold, or I get the flu. And then you end up having no choice but to miss a few days. And then while you're sick, you're like, oh, I'm too tired to cook. I'm gonna order food, or I'm having a craving for this. And I feel sorry for myself. So I'm gonna treat myself. And then it's like you finally get better, but now you've missed an entire week. And so all the pain that you go through on that first or second workout before you broke through and you don't feel it anymore. Well, now that you've taken a week off, all of that's undone. You're that much more, you're weaker because you're just getting back from your illness. You've been eating unhealthy. You're going to feel the tear in your muscles again. And then people become demotivated. It's like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to. I'll start in a week from now. I'll start when I just have time again, or have the mindset. And then you end up, kicking the can down the road, and you don't necessarily get to where you want to go. So staying focused and really committing to the idea that you set out to achieve is really important. So how did you do that, Chris? Like, obviously you made it through COVID with this incredible mentality. What continues to bring you back every time you hit these obstacles, these almost what would sometimes feel like staged obstacles, like life just throwing things to prevent you from your goal?
Yeah, right now, and what I was mentioning in the last podcast, having that vision for where I wanted to go here in the future, it's all really wrapped up into. It's so nice. It's so all meta, very very
Mm,
much these mythical stories happening in my life because I'm inviting it. And so I was mentioning the last podcast, and I released a video on my Instagram that introduced this project. And it's an oracle deck based around Hanuman's story in the Ramayana, and the hero's journey framework that was outlined by Joseph Campbell, where he was talking about the 12 phases of the hero's journey. And we've talked about this in the podcast many times before, but I just have decided to see my life in this way. And I want to create a community that we get around other friends of ours who are thinking in this way,
mm,
that we can be supports for each other. Because you hear these things, it's like, great, you love it, you're like, yes, that's great, I want to live like that. And then when the thing happens to you, you forget that it's actually a perfect metaphor, and it's exactly like a hero's journey moment for you in your story. But you've missed you've missed the point of it because you just forgotten, and then you kind of start feeling sorry for yourself, like the things that you're talking about there. And so what I want to do is create an environment here, with the I've started a Patreon community. I'm going to be creating other additional podcasts that are going to be specifically focused on this, chat rooms where we can talk about this, continually sharing each other's stories. And I think environment is so important.
mm,
So us being able to connect and talk about it, you inspire me, I inspire you. And so maybe the next time the thing happens, you remember it. It's like, try
yeah.
again, try again. And so for me, like, I've been thinking about these things for a long time, and they're finally starting to click. And my interest in it is my perseverance, and my interest in it is making it more and more, so that it happens in the moment where I remember to actually
Mm,
remember that I'm the hero in the story, and to not miss out on, like just that story of Hanuman. As soon as he learns that he can fly, and he takes that famous leap over the ocean, he's immediately met with a giant sea monster
who says that it's her karmic duty to swallow him, and there's nothing that you can do. And so he says, okay, if I must be swallowed, he turns, tiny like a fly, flies into her mouth, flies back out. Oh, okay, I did it. See ya. It's like always looking for, okay, this thing has to happen, but there's never a time where we're meant to be crushed. It's always just to test our abilities and see what we're made of. So I try to remember that as often as possible, that nothing that is here is here to take me out. And if we also look at our life like a video game, you think like, I'm playing a video game. You're not playing the video game and then you're like, well, I got to this part of it. It's just like, I'm just gonna, yeah, it's you're like, there is a way to beat this. I'm gonna figure this out. And you keep trying, or like the metaphor you were talking about is like a child when they're young and trying to learn how to walk. They just keep trying over and over. And somewhere along the way we lose that and we forget our our resilience and our ability to just really keep trying and persevere through challenges and tests.
Yeah, that's so true. I think it happens in both ways as well. I was talking to you a little bit, as we know. I think I shared a little bit on the last podcast, transitioning, to a new space in terms of work for me. Going back to a place where I was for 17 years of my career, and joining a new team with new responsibilities, and trying to find carve a path and do it quietly, making sure that I have a really humble approach. And whether or not I know the answer to something or not, I sit patiently and I stay quiet, because I might learn something, if I just kind of resort to what old hat and old answers, then sometimes it can shut down other people. So I've been really conscious of like going back into this space, and almost experiencing it like I was a rookie, or like for the very first time, even though I spent 17 years there. And it's been amazing. And but even though I love this opportunity to go back and create a career, and have the kind of role that allows me to be really proud of how I spend my time every day, and then potentially even take care of my family. Like a lot of positive things, especially right now when when there's so many people losing their jobs, and there's a lot of economic and political strife. Of course, there's war torn countries, and we all know what's happening when we. But, well, if we live in those countries, we know it intimately. But even what we see on social media, there's in the news, there's so much negativity. When things are going really well, like sometimes you can take it for granted as well, like, oh, I'm getting into good shape again. I'm eating healthy. I'm sleeping well. My wife and I are doing great. My kids are happy and healthy. Really great work-life balance. It's also important, I think, even in those spaces, to remind yourself that you are still in a game, and that eventually there's going to be a pitfall, or you're going to get hit by a turtle shell and you're going to have to start over. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now, where it's been a lot of positive things, and I've really tried to just remind myself to just stay calm and stay patient, and and be grateful for every moment, and not get too hung up on how lovely everything is right now. Like kind of just stay in the middle of both of those zones of becoming panicked and stressed, and being overjoyed, and what's the word, not optimism, like optimism, but based in reality, kind of thing. And it's been quite the process to remind myself to just put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, it's a good thing. That's a real spiritual path of even, when things are going well, just saying, well, maybe tomorrow they won't be going well. Enjoy it now while it lasts,
Yeah, like
not
staying
be
in that
attached to
moment.
needing it going it well. Yeah.
Yeah, just enjoying
Yeah.
that present moment, whatever it is. um
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that to me has been um like a really great practice, whatever that moment is. And usually, like, our stress and our anxiety, is associated with a thought that we've had, or it's a thought that we're having about some future experience that we haven't even had as yet. And then we allow that to pervade, and then all of a sudden we feel the stress. But if we just stay in this moment, we have the opportunity to minimize the risks of those types of, anxiety-ridden experiences.
Yeah, that thought there, that idea that's something that was coming to me really strongly last night. I was making, I like to just record these little notes after my meditations, and also, to answer that last question too a little more, was the things that allow me to do it. Yogananda's energization exercises that I do every morning and every evening. And also Wim Hof breathing. I was doing that every day when I had COVID, and those were helping me stay present, keep my willpower up, keep filling my body with energy. And the meditation, I was meditating a lot, so that was really keeping my mind on focused. And what was coming through is exactly what you were talking about, is that I wrote this: stop thinking, start experiencing. And this idea that in life, and it brought me back to my early medicine journeys, my early psychedelic experiences. I started to get this revisiting those experiences again, and remembering really what it was that really got me so invigorated when I first had my first experience of going beyond the thinking mind. And really, I realized what was happening there is I started to just experience my mind, experience the world around me without thinking. And that's really, I think, is what we're aiming at. Whenever we see great art, or we see a great performance, or we hear great music, or anything like this, we hear a great story, we watch a great movie, we're not thinking, we're just experiencing that. And that's what we like. That's when we're happy. That's when we're in the present moment. And we associate those feelings, those experiences. You can think, oh, it was the psychedelic, so people get hooked to needing that all the time. Or you get hooked on, oh, I need to travel and go see a sunset on the other side of the planet and this beautiful island. That was the thing that did it. Oh, it's this person that I was with that did it. Oh, it was because I was in nature. That was it. That did it. But really, all that you need to do is learn how to experience life without thinking. And it seems so simple when we're doing, it it just happens. Yeah, like we just, and that idea of awe, and I saw also that was what was really getting me fired up about being an artist again, is being aiming at creating things that could give people that experience, to for a moment break out of that thinking mind, thinking about the future, worrying about the future, thinking about the past. And I think that's what we're all trying to give each other when we look to be a good partner in a relationship. We look to take someone on a trip, or we look to go see these beautiful things, that we're just looking to experience that together. And I think that is what that's the big thing. Stop thinking, start experiencing. And then the last part of that was Yogananda. I was remembering Yogananda is always talking about movies. When he came to America in like in 1920s, right when movies hit Hollywood, and he was in Hollywood, actually in California. And so he was like seeing some of the first movies, and he would say that people who watch movies are perfect yogis. Which is like, oh, what is he saying there? What is that? That's not what you usually hear a saint talking about, people who watch movies. But he was saying, if you can watch a movie, get fully immersed in that movie, and you're not thinking, but you're experiencing that movie, you're watching it go up and down, you're watching maybe horrors and happiness and all of that, but you're watching it you're entertained, you're educated. And then if you could do that in your life, then that's what it is. He's like, you're living in a big movie, and sometimes there's little movies within the big movie. The idea is that you're supposed to watch your big movie and enjoy it and see it. So it's like you can be, we were watching Fargo last night. I don't know if you've ever seen that show.
I've seen the movie. I haven't saw the show.
Yeah, the show is pretty good. Really great character development and stuff. And there's like, some really kind of, violent scenes in there, but you're watching this and you're like, when you're watching something on TV, you don't have to experience as if it's happening to you, but you're experiencing something awful.
Yeah.
You feel for the character or whatever, but you can still enjoy it. As I was thinking, Yogananda says it's possible to be happy all the time. And that's what we're seeking in meditation, to be happy all the time. And I kept coming up with, whenever I think about doing those things or sharing these kind of things, you think about the questions that would come back. Oh, how are you going to be happy when you're in a crisis? How are you going to be happy when something really awful happens to you? And I think that him talking about movies holds the key to that, is that even while you're in a tragic scene in the movie, there is a sweetness within the sadness. Like if you think of any really difficult situation in your life, there's a sweetness there. There's a silver lining there. There's something that, you can watch a sad movie and just still think, wow, that was wonderful. You get something out of it, Yeah, some of the most difficult times in my life, I remember, having present moment awareness and just thinking, wow, this is so sweet at the same time as how sad it is,
I think that's one of the benefits of meditation, right? Like you're strengthening your mind to stay so focused on the present and clear thought. And, I've been to the movie theater where I was so preoccupied with something that happened before I went and sat down in the theater, or something that I was dealing with in my personal life or my professional life. And then I sit in the theater and I can't even enjoy the movie because I'll hear a sentence or I'll see a scene, and then it casts me off to this world of worry of the thought that I was having before I even sat down. And it happens to me when I read a book. It happens when I watch a movie. Sometimes it even happens when I'm having a conversation with somebody and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't listened to anything this person just said because it was whatever. This thought drew me. And so I think doing things like meditating, and finding ways to just practice being fully present and in the moment, are so worthwhile. The hard part is like, if I go to the gym and I lift, the weights, I can look in the mirror and then I can see this bicep, or I can see the growth and the development. And I think for a lot of people, because it's the mindset, to get over the hump, because sometimes you can't see the results right away, not even right away. Sometimes you may not necessarily even be conscious of the results at all, and maybe until maybe weeks or months down the road. I don't know. People may not necessarily do it consistently because they're not getting the results fast enough. So maybe, if you don't mind, Chris, can we just spend maybe a few minutes just on talking about how to strengthen the mind and how to get to a space where we feel confident that even though we get sidetracked, we can pull it back.
I mentioned Yogananda's energization exercises. I on the Patreon, I posted, I made a video of myself doing those, and I also talking about my experiences in depth on there too. So if you want to get really deep into that, and then also I can post some links for my teachers talking about it. That practice itself of just determine, I get up in the morning, I'm just like, I'm gonna do those. And it's a series of 39 exercises. They take maybe about 15 minutes to do. And it's about tensing and relaxing. It's kind of like what we do at the beginning of this podcast, where we're tensing and relaxing, but tensing each muscle in different groups. And it's developing my willpower. Like in the morning, oftentimes, I won't want to do it, but I just nah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it every day. I just said, I'm going to do it. And I just do it every day. And I get into a habit, and then I just keep doing it. And then more and more, it strengthens my willpower, And during this time of COVID, I don't do my normal Kriya meditation, because Kriya and also Hong Sa, it's actually about taking all of the life force energy that would go out to your limbs, go out to your legs, go into your brain, your thinking mind, all of this kind of stuff. And you're laser focusing it here. And it's actually a practice for death. You're actually in a deep practice of that. You can actually stop breathing for long periods of time. You can go into a state of suspended animation, where there's no energy going out to your limbs. Just like if you were sleeping, there's no energy in your limbs. That's why you don't get up and move around when you're dreaming. And so I wasn't doing my normal yogic practices of energy direction, but what I was doing was Wim Hof breathing. And I was thinking, so I was doing energization and Wim Hof. And I was thinking, well, for people who have trouble sitting and meditating at first, and this is actually how I started, was doing breathing exercises. I was having trouble just sitting, quieting the mind. It just seemed too hard at first. But these were just physical exercises, doing physical exercises that are interior. And you learned, they get really spooky in time. You learn that these are way more than just physical exercise. These are very, very powerful yogic mental practices. And then also with the breathing, you're doing Wim Hof breathing, where it's just like, you're doing diaphragmatic breathing in through your belly, up through your chest, through your belly, up through your chest. And you're getting into this heightened state, and then you hold your breath and you concentrate it, and having a practice like that and just deciding I'm going to do this every day strengthens the will, and having those physical experiences of being, supercharged with all of the oxygenating your blood, oxygenating your body, and just having moments of bliss, and just having time of not thinking for a little while. When you do Wim Hof, there's going to be moments where you're just sitting there going, oh, this is great, And I think having just a moment in your day where you just have moments of just pure bliss and not thinking. So those two exercises I think are really powerful. And then Hong Sa meditation that I do is a really great one for concentration, learning how to focus. So once you get into a habit of doing a daily practice, then I would say adding Hong Sa, then you're really working on concentration at that point. But yeah, I think just doing something in the morning every day or in the evening.
Yeah,
and
move
just
that
commit
needle.
to it
Just
and
move
say,
the
I'm
needle.
not going to stop.
Yeah, even if it's 1 minute every day or 30 seconds, just it's more than yesterday. I don't know. I read a quote the other day and I thought it was really cool. And it just said, if your only goal is to just be better who we were than yesterday, then imagine how far we're going to get. If your only goal is to get just better than you were yesterday, you will by default just be a better human being in a year from now, and then in 2 years from now, and 3 years from now. You don't have to really compare yourself to anybody else. Just set that mark and be a little bit better today than yesterday. Even incrementally, the compound is insane. Just the whole concept of compound interest in every aspect of your life, being a little bit kinder to your wife, being a little bit more patient with your children, working a little bit harder or smarter when you're at work, all being a little bit more thoughtful with your friends, or a little bit more compassionate to your neighbor. You do a little bit of that and you just become like a superhero on this planet.
Yeah, whatever it is, whatever it is right in front of us in the moment. That was coming to me really strongly too. Yogananda talks about a lot. It's like, whatever it is that you're doing right now, focus on that and do that well. And he's like, you take care of the minutes and I'll take care of the lifetimes. It's you just, whatever it is. And Nayaswami Asha, one of my favorite teachers, she said something very similar to what you were saying. She said, in every circumstance, if you can just do a little bit better than your worst, you know, just do a little bit better than your worst, and then
Man.
you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, I
Just
love
don't
that.
do your worst.
And if you do, just tomorrow make it a bit better. Yeah. And that's another
Yeah,
thing too,
yeah.
right? Like sometimes we get to the space where like all is lost. I was at a casino once with a good buddy of mine, and I'm not a big gambler. Well, I guess in certain aspects of my life, I do like to gamble a bit, but like, um, but I went to an actual casino, which I don't usually do, but they make a mean steak and eggs. And so my buddy like really loves to eat. And he's like, Jay, would you come with me? So we end up saying, sure. So we go and we grab something to eat. And then we both had like 20 bucks in our wallet. We said, should we go play the 20 bucks? He said, sure. So we walk into the casino. We just go find a machine, and he puts his in. I think he loses it right away. I put mine in, and then I think like put the 20 bucks in. I guess in like one of my $8 left, it goes off. And I don't win a lot of money. I think maybe I won like 150 bucks or something like this. I wasn't even supposed to be there. So I'm like, 150, sweet. Press cash out. And this lady was standing like 3 feet away from us, and just, when when you look at someone and you can just tell they're not there. Like, the lights are on, but nobody's home. So we look over and she's just staring at us blankly. And she says, well, what are you doing? And I said, oh, we're just cashing out. And she's like, no, you have to keep playing. I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah. She's like, because it could win again. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, well, I'm good. I was not expecting to win. And she's like, no, play again. And I looked at my buddy and we're like, no, we're okay. And then she goes, and I said, you know what? Take the machine. If you think this is a winning machine, you should take it and you can play it if you'd like. She's, oh no, I can't. I'm like, why not? She's like, I have no more money. And I said, you have no more money? And she's like, no. I said, okay. I said, well, maybe we should call it a day then. We're leaving. You can come with us. And she goes, I can't leave. And we said, why? And she's like, I've lost all my money. I've maxed out all my credit cards. I've spent my retirement. This lady was probably like late 50s, early 60s. And she's like, but I can't leave because I'm hoping I could just win it back. And I remember looking at her and thinking like, in that moment, like, oh my God, I just want to hold her hand and pull her out. But I could tell that if I did that, I probably would, lose my life, because she was not leaving that casino. And I
Mhm.
just thought to myself, like, she's going to continue to dig this hole for herself. And God knows how bad this is and how bad it's going to get. But the one thought that I had was, the day that she decides it's done, it's not her money anymore. She's lost it and it's gone. And she just leaves and she just goes back to work, or she just figures whatever else I have to do now. She can't go further into debt. Like, she might have to pay interest on the debts. I don't know how bad that was, but like, she doesn't have to hurt herself anymore by staying there. Just by making that decision, I'm not going back. I'm going to just stay away from here. That was the only
Mhm.
thing. So I just, my buddy and I went back over, and that's what we said there. Like, you may not be able to go back and change what you've done, but if you decide not to come back, and you have this chance, you have a chance at turning your life around. You're still young, you still have the time. And she says, she's like, no, there's nothing, no, not, I don't have a chance. And she was kind of defeated at that moment. But even in that moment, I just kind of said to myself, like, if you ever feel down and out, it just takes that one decision and firm commitment to be better than who you were yesterday, or to just make the situation a little bit better tomorrow than it is today. And you might see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, yeah. It's just making that decision to just do it differently. Like, and who knows when that could come? It could come at any
Yeah.
moment,
Yeah.
like when you get a drive to do something, or somebody says something that sparks it, or you see something that inspires you. So I think that's what, those of us who are able to have, a positive mentality or attitude in a world with a lot of difficulties, and seeing a lot of sadness around, and seeing a lot of terrible things, and going through a lot of terrible things ourselves, but being able to still wanting to be able to inspire other people to do those good things for ourselves, where it's like we're doing these practices that I talk about. They're not just selfish things that we're just doing for ourselves. If we're stoking that fire every morning, we're getting up every morning, we're doing these good things, we're working on our mindset, we're working on our ability to be in the present moment, then maybe we could be that spark for somebody else in a moment where they needed to hear something. And if we're in the present moment awareness, then divine creativity could flow through us, and God could talk to that person, and that could be their higher self could talk to them through you in that moment. And you could say you didn't even know where it came from, but you just said this one thing, and it was exactly the little key that opened it, unlocked, or whatever. You never know. So I think it's important, if you find yourself, you're a warrior of light, if you're if you're listening to this podcast and you're not annoyed by our positive perspectives on things, you're probably one of the most positive people in the world, and so it's a rare thing. So I think it's good to see yourself for the rare energetic protector, the warrior of light that you are, and to see yourself as the hero, and to do and get around other people that are doing these things. If she started getting around more and more positive people, that would just have an effect eventually. But if you're just in a casino all the time with that sort of energy, good luck getting out of that. So if you find yourself around a lot of negative people, a lot of people that get really down and just, there's not for me, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do anything in my life, you need to get around happier people. You need to purposefully, and if you don't know any, put on some podcasts, get some books, some different things that could bring that light into your life, and it could turn you around.
It's funny like that you say that, because I do think I believe that wholeheartedly. I think like you have this opportunity every day to ask the universe for what it is that you want, but it can't just be, I'm just going to ask and sit here. Like you gotta commit to it. You gotta work. You have to work towards it. It's like, I know I talked about this on several podcasts ago, but it's like this great quote. It said, "Pray to God, but paddle away from the rocks." And I just love that. It's a, you have it all within you, and it doesn't have to necessarily be, you don't have to think about anything other than I'm just going to try. I'm going to show up. I'm going to try and give it a shot. You don't even need to believe. That's the thing. You could literally be like, this might fail, but I'm going to do it anyways. Like that David Goggins mentality. This is going to be hard. I'm going to be in so much pain afterwards. Say all the things you want to say, but do it anyways. And you'll be better than what it was if you chose not to do it.
Yeah, it's a mindset, and it's like something that you continually have to stoke. And then when you do stoke it, know that you are gonna be hit with challenges and tests, just like you're saying. And then after you go through those challenges and tests, buckle down and get back in the fight again. It's like for me, like now coming back out of COVID, it's like, okay, all right, I gotta just like kick it in gear 100%, and that, like, not slow down. Like really it's time. And I think this year the energy, a lot of the astrologers that I'm listening to, and the energy is this year, if you've got a creative project, if you've got ambitions, if there's things that you want to do, like this is the year to do it. So like I want to encourage everybody listening, like this is the time to do it. Like don't wait around, put those things into action. Like if you've been feeling like you've been slogging through the mud in recent years, like we all have. And it's like now it's time where those things are being released. So if you're stuck in a rut, if you're in some things, like cut those old things off, and if you're going through difficult challenges and things, know that the end of something old is making way for something new. And that's always what happens. This hero's journey idea that I'm so excited about, really creating and cultivating this community around, and also this Hanuman Oracle deck. Like I'm so fired up about making art right now. I've been listening also to Rick Rubin. Everybody read, listen, and get the audiobook. It's great. Rick Rubin reads. It's called The Creative Act. And a lot of friends were recommending it to me, and I finally started listening to it, and it is total gold. Like, Rick Rubin is the great famous producer.
Yeah,
He's been
work with
mysterious
Jay-Z
for a
and
lot of years.
yeah,
Yeah, all of the like the biggest albums, all different genres, from metal to hip hop to Johnny Cash to, like R&B, all this kind of stuff. And he's synthesized the creative process into like a very much a how-to. He's been working on this book for 8 years. And I think it's so timely that it's coming into the awareness of our world right now. And I think really that art is so important for directing humanity towards a brighter future. If you think about all of the stories that come through, and it really, like, if you think about religion, what is religion other than storytelling, artwork, music, fashion? It's like, and Rick Rubin talks about it. He said, it's amazing to hear somebody that's, responsible for our popular culture, like talking like a swami, like he says, I want to make the best artwork that I can make. And I want to make it out of devotion and love. And I want to make it as an offering to God. Like, he's like, that's the mindset that you should have when you're making art. Like, don't worry about how well it's going to do. Don't worry about like, oh, I don't like it, but I think other people will like it. Don't work on it that way. Just make artwork that you like. Like,
yeah,
it only has to be something that you like, that you really love it. You're doing it because you love it. And then that is going to be the thing that you should do. And
yeah.
so I've been really kicked into gear this year of like, I'm really now, I kind of like went through this, in 2020. I had a collapsing of my old world. That was in my hero's journey. It was, the death scene, the death of my old life. I used to be striving towards, all of my clients. I used to have an agent in New York. I was working on projects for all kinds of spirit companies. I got to work for, brands like even like National Geographic and Mini Cooper and Nike and all of these big companies, and WWE and big music festivals and entertainment companies and Fox and all of this kind of stuff I was working on. And I was climbing that ladder, and that just after the death of my father-in-law, and right before COVID, I just kind of like hit a wall where I just was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't feel like spending my time making. I want to make artwork in the way that Rick Rubin's talking about. I want to make work that is where I'm living my life as a channel, and I'm making this as an offering, a devotion, and so I've been slowly kind of picking up the pieces of totally destroying my old career and seeing where I'm landing at now. And I kind of I went into just letting go of all of the things that I didn't need, and not being attached anymore to anything physical, or not really wanting to climb the ladder of fame anymore. But now, like, I'm invigorated, and I have this project, which is like, I feel like I can put all of my energy in. I don't know how it's going to happen. Like, I don't know where the money is going to come from to pull it off. But I'm starting to get things that I can imagine, like, oh, I could imagine that happening. Oh, I could imagine this happening. And then, that sparking, interest. And then all of a sudden, these things started picking up, or maybe more people start signing up for the Patreon. And now we've got like, I just, rather than thinking about, oh, I need 250,000 or 1 million followers and all of this kind of stuff, is like, no, could I get down to just 1,000 people who really like this and we're really like feeling connected with each other, and we're really like doing something. And so now, like, this project around Hanuman, we'll just kind of end with this, and we'll kind of dive into it more. But this project with Hanuman and the Oracle deck, I was like, I've always felt like I'm meant to do something with the Ramayana, and I really want to spark this. Like, I love this hero's journey aspect of it. The Ramayana and Hanuman is like a perfect example of the hero. And I want to help people become less metaphorically impaired, to start seeing books, movies, situations in other people's lives, situations in your life, seeing, like, when you're watching a movie, rather than just seeing it as a linear story, seeing yourself in the hero, seeing that as a metaphor for something that's happening in your life. Like, when you think about Stephen Pressfield in his book, the Artist's Journey, he's talking about, he's got all these examples of great writers, and he's a great writer as well. And he's like, when I sit down to write a book, like, I swear I do not know what I'm going to be writing. Like, these characters, these stories, they all just start blooming, and I just start writing this stuff, and I don't even know where it's coming from. He's like, I write to find out. I write to find out who I am. I write to find out. And you think about, like, all these great writers and screenplay writers, like, they couldn't be pulling those things out of their mind. They learn how to go to a place where they're not thinking. They know how to tap into it, to go beyond the level of the physical realm. They go into the metaphysical realm, or super conscious realm, and they pull these things back out and then bring them into the physical world. So if you think about art and writers and, artists taking society towards a better place, like, this creativity is flowing through artists, and I want to create art in that way. So the things that have been coming to me, and like what my brother and I are going to be doing, I'm going to be creating 77 images of the story of Hanuman.
Cool.
And these are going to be they're going to turn into 77 cards that will eventually become an oracle deck, which will become a living version of the Ramayana that you could interact with. You could see yourself in the story. So whenever you lay down a card, with some intention, and, God can speak to you through anything. God can speak to you through a friend, through a child, through a song, through a breeze, through something, anything. And so if you put down these cards, you can allow your higher self to talk to you through this ancient story, which is a mere reflection of your own story. So I'm creating these images, and then they're going to actually become, I'm doing the sketches of them, and then my brother and I are going to hand paint all of the artwork. So they're going to be 77 hand painted, large images, and we're going to be painting them in a new style that we haven't done before. And that's something that we often do. We kind of thrive on, like, we haven't done this before, but I feel this is coming through, and we're going to do it in this way. It's very ambitious. I don't know where the money's going to come from, and I'm going to break it up into 3 parts, where the first third of the cards, so say 25 images, those will become hand painted. So 25 paintings, and that will be a gallery show. We'll show these paintings, and then there'll be another 25. That'll be another gallery show in the future. And then the last 27 images will be another gallery show. And then that will become like the launch of the deck. But all along the way will be the community interactions. It will be like our hero's journey, and it will be also ways that we're interacting with the community and creating an environment where we're talking about life in this way. And we're creating this ability where we're like, you can say, go on a chat group. A Patreon now has a chat kind of like Discord, but you don't have to worry about all of the issues of Discord. Where we could just have a chat group, like talk about issues that you're going through, and then you'll have other people that will have this like-minded mindset, and then encouraging you, oh, you're just in, stage 6 of the hero's journey: tests, allies, enemies. You're going through tests, but don't worry, allies will show up for you. Enemies, sometimes the enemies are just your mental enemies, or those
True.
inner dragons, those
That's true.
self-doubts, all of that stuff. So yeah, just to ramble that out all real quickly, and we could get into it more later, but that's the project in a nutshell.
Sounds good. I can't wait. Everything you touch, I feel like turns to gold, Chris. And I feel like it comes from a really passionate, informed, genuine place. And I think anytime you have an opportunity to experience something like that, the experience is always amazing. Like it's, you and I had a chance to, do you help me kind of figure out my career choice, just by using some really incredible ancient traditions. And I know that I think we did we video that? Did we catch that on video? I feel like we did.
Yeah, we might have.
Yeah. So, I
Mhm.
mean, it would be really cool to even have a portion of that as maybe as like a promo. Just, I don't mind people, we can share maybe a portion of that so they can get the sense of like, what can happen if you take the time to really invest in, especially, we were able to leverage AI in a way that I don't think it's being leveraged at all. And you were really early on that thinking. Like I remember when we first, like when ChatGPT first hit the market, a lot of artists were like, I don't know if I like this. And because I think it wasn't ChatGPT. Well, it was around the same time. What was it? The program that produced art like in the matter of moments.
Yeah, there's Midjourney and Dali,
Midjourney.
there's like, yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And I just,
understandable hangups artists have around those softwares and stuff. But
yeah,
it's like,
but you,
I'm an
you
artist, I'm
embraced it.
curious.
Yeah. And you were just like, look, like you can look at a million things and see all the things that are wrong with them, or you can look at it and you can see opportunity and you can see a chance to maybe learn and grow and collaborate. And that's what you did. And you did it in such a profound way. Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see kind of the direction that you're going to move into. And, with you leveraging technology and community and your knowledge and the wisdom that you've got from being an initiated yogi and someone who practices meditation for hours a day, and just being a phenomenal artist and human being. Like whatever you create, I think it's going to just bring positivity and light to this world. And that one line that Bob Marley used to say, about, we have to light up the darkness. It's our responsibility to light up the darkness. You're a bright light. I told my daughter tonight, a quick story before we go, if you don't mind. My daughter came home and she was so upset, just tears when I opened the door. I said, "Baby, what's wrong?" And she just kind of runs to me. And like, most kids, when they're feeling upset, they want to just push their face into your chest, so maybe they can find the comfort of the energy that that a loving parent has. So she comes, she puts her face here, and so I scooped her up into my arms. Said, tell Daddy what's going on. And she goes, Daddy, like I was in after school care and one of the boys stuck up his middle finger at me. And I said, "Oh," and I said, and she was like, "And I didn't do anything wrong. He just stuck it up." And I told him, I said, "Why are you doing that?" He goes, "Well," he's like, "Don't pretend like you wouldn't do it too, Amari." And my daughter's like, "I wouldn't do that." And he kind of he shrugged it off like nothing happened. But for her, it was like a dagger. It was like throwing a dagger at her, and because she knows how, and we would respond if we found out that she ever did that to anybody in school, and the disappointment that we would have. And so, but I said to her, so I hugged her and I just said, Mar, I said, I got to tell you something. I said, I feel bad for the boy. And she's like, "Oh, huh?" I said, "Yeah, Daddy, I feel really sorry for him. I'm gonna, think about him. Think good thoughts. I mean, did you talk to the teacher? Did you say anything so he knows that what he's doing is not appropriate or that wasn't a good choice?" And she says, "Well, the teacher wasn't around." I said, "So, maybe you should talk to the teacher tomorrow." And I said, "But you know what, baby?" I said, I just feel bad for him." And she says, "Well, why do you keep saying that?" And I said, "Because," I said, "if you did that to someone, what would happen?" She's like, "Daddy, you would punish me." And I said, "Well, I don't know if I'd punish you." I said, "But I would certainly be disappointed." And I said, but why? Why would I be disappointed, Mark? And why would I potentially punish you? And she's like, oh, because you care about me. I said, yeah. I said, because you know you're going home to see someone that actually cares about what you do and what you say and how you treat people. And I said, and if he feels okay that that's okay to do that, and whoever he goes home to, he's not worried about disappointing, that means that there's a chance that he's not as cared for and as loved as you are. And that's why I feel sorry for him. And she got thought about that. She's, oh, I said, because you're loved. And I want you to be the best version of yourself. I want him to be the best version of himself. Someone in his life has to want him to be the best version of himself. And I said, and you must feel my love, Mark, because I know you wouldn't do anything like that. And she says, I do, Daddy. And then when I was putting her, so that was just the after school conversation. And when I was putting her to bed, when I lay beside her, I actually said to her, I said, you know, baby, I said, like, there's people in this world who bring darkness, and there's people in this world who bring light. And I said, and you're going to be someone that lights up the darkness. So you're never alone. I said, sometimes you're going to be in a room full of people who will feel defeated and insecure and worried and fearful of somebody who does things like that. And I said, and you just need to know that you're one of the people that are here to bring light to that darkness. So whenever somebody does anything to you that affects you like that, just stand tall and be proud and let that light out and just say you can bring it on, because all of it's going to bounce right off of me. And then she just hugged me so tight, you know. I was so glad I had the chance to use that, you know, that dagger as an opportunity to make my daughter feel like, you know, she's more than capable of dealing with anything that the world throws at her.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, like so cool to in like thinking about having somebody saying that to you when you're young, and her karma just to be landing with you, to be getting those lessons early and to recognize her power and to not have to lose that, you know, to keep that young. Remember, you know, there was a quote that I heard this week. It said that love is what we're born with and fear is what we learn, you know. So if you can just keep with that love vibration, and you don't have to add the fear to it, and just to recognize really the only fear, like Yogananda says, the only fear we need to have is a fear of our own misconduct. That's the only thing you need to fear.
That's how I love that.
Everything else is yeah, just a movie for to help strengthen your superpowers, like we started this with, you know. All of those things that come every, you know, it doesn't matter, like anything people do, nobody can take away your happiness. Nobody can do something that's going to take away, because that, you know, our happiness doesn't come from the situations. Happiness and our, you know, like it was really hitting me this week. It's like, it's really just our minds, you know, like, you know, she'll grow up and she'll realize, like, you know, because she's, you know, having these conversations young, that somebody flicking you off, somebody cutting you off in traffic, somebody calling you some name that, you know, doesn't stick, or you don't deserve it. So it's just like, that doesn't mean anything to me. That doesn't affect my day. That doesn't, you know, oh, big deal. You know.
I mean,
Like,
and it's pretty cool that we have the chance to plant that seed well, obviously in our kids, if we're parents, but it's the people that we care about, you know, just to give them a different perspective. It's not, you know, sometimes we're all concerned with, oh, you know, everything's happening to me. And like, this is your words, not mine, but it's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And sometimes we just have to remind each other of that, you know, remind ourselves, remind each other, and then we lift, rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. And you know, that was like the greatest lesson, Chris. I know you've said that to me so many times throughout many podcasts, and I'm starting to get I forget sometimes. I'm like, what was me? And then I remind myself that this is happening for me, and you know, life feels that much easier to bear, you know.
yeah, I mean, I just say it as an affirmation over and over so that I get it. Like all of these things, you know, like, and I love it. It's like my teachers at Ananda, they'll be like, all these things we're saying are affirmations, you know, until we get them, you know, like we just talk about it as if we already have it. It's perfectly fine to do that. Just talk about it all the time. Like, this is the way, like Yogananda says, if in your lifetime, if you practice Kriya Yoga, you should in your lifetime become a Jivan Mukta, which is a soul who becomes freed while living. Like you've become completely free. If you dedicate your life to Kriya Yoga and you do it every day, nonstop, every day in the right way, and you just dedicate your life to that, you will become, like freed while living. You may still have to come take birth again, work out karma, things like that, but you could become freed while living. And one of the teachers was saying, just start acting as if you're a Jivan Mukta now. And then how would someone who's freed while living, how would you act? How would you talk? And just do it as an affirmation. It's the same old thing of like, what would Jesus do? It's just like, act like that now. Like, say that you are. The worst thing to do is say that I'm a sinner, I'm a bad person, I'm this or that. Say, no, I'm a fully awakened master. How would I act? What would I say? What are the kind of things that I would do? And we just do it until it sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well,
Well,
yeah,
I
so we'll
needed
just
this.
leave
Thank you.
everybody with that, Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. It's always nice to get back together. And I'll end with just reading this passage
Good.
from Yogananda again, and then we'll leave you all until next time, friends. And I'm next week I'm going to be recording with a psychedelic is a psychedelic integration coach, Daniel Shankin from TAM Integration. And so I'm recording with him next week. And then, so that's going to be really cool. I'll put a link to his Instagram so people can start. His Instagram is powerful. He just puts these shorts up every day, and they are just gold. So for psychedelic explorers out there, even if you're not, these are really just going to hit you in a really interesting way. And thinking about, different coaches it's like a therapist that can help you to integrate what you learned in your psychedelic experiences and put that into practice in your daily life. And he has programs for that. So yeah, he's going to be really cool to talk to. And then right after that, I'm going to be recording one with Chris Dyer at his house, because he lives close to me. So I'm going to go over to his place, and we're going to film in his studio space at his house and stuff, and dive into more of this. So it'll be a pretty psychedelic couple of podcasts. And then from there, I've got monks and astrologers and scientists and swamis and yoga teachers and authors all on my list here, that it's going to be a lot more guests coming in the future on the podcast, also artists as well. So it's going to be a lot of that coming soon for you. So I'll leave you with this. Why is life so full of challenges, from Paramahansa Yogananda? This is how to spiritualize your life. It's through life's challenges that you learn life's lessons. Challenges are not meant to crush you, but to help you develop your powers. They come to you through the natural law of progress so that you might advance to higher levels of spiritual attainment. The mind is the source of all of your troubles and all of your happiness. You are stronger than your tests. If you don't realize this now, at some point you will. God has given you the power to control your mind and the body, and thus be free from pain and sorrow. Never say, I am through. Do not poison your mind by thinking that if you walk a little more, you will overexert yourself, or if you cannot get certain foods, you will suffer. Remember that the mind power is continually creating the body. And if your mind is weak, your body will become weak also. Om. Blessings, friends. Joy to you. And we will see you next time.